Hello, welcome to my presentation on fracking. Fracking is the process by which we gather natural gas. We used to think that fracking was cleaner than any other form of energy, or at least cleaner than most. However, new research suggests that it might be just as harmful to the environment as more traditional means of power and heat. In this video, I will be going over both the benefits and downsides of fracking and using natural gas to power our homes. To start with, I think it would be helpful to talk about what gases we are actually looking for with fracking, because not just any gas will do. Natural gas is naturally occurring, colorless and odorless gaseous mixture of methane, which is used as a fuel source. It is a fossil fuel, which means that it is formed over millions of years from ancient organisms. We use it for a variety of purposes, including heating, electricity generation, transportation, and chemical feedstock. While natural gas used to be thought of a cleaner alternative to many other energy sources, recent studies have shown that it actually is a major contributor to climate change, air pollution, and water contamination. Methane leaks, which is when natural gas from the pipeline and infrastructure is released into the atmosphere, CO2 emissions, which is when an abundance of CO2 is released from the production of energy, water contamination, from when fracking is used to extract the natural gas from shale, which can contaminate groundwater with the chemicals used to process it, as well as the chemicals naturally occurring within the shale. And noise pollution, which is when so much noise is present that it disrupts the wildlife, have all been reported in areas in which fracking occurs. While some of this may be from malpractice upon the parts of those fracking, a large portion of it comes from the fracking and use of natural gas itself. Despite all these problems, it is still considered one of the cleanest forms of energy. According to the United States Energy Information Administration, natural gas is a relatively clean-burning fossil fuel. Burning natural gas for energy results in fewer emissions of nearly all types of air pollutants and carbon dioxide emissions than burning coal or petroleum products to produce an equal amount of energy. For comparison, for every 1 million BTU consumed, more than 200 pounds of CO2 are produced from coal, and more than 160 pounds of CO2 are produced from fuel oil. The cleaning and burning properties of natural gas have contributed to increased natural gas use for electricity generation and for fleet vehicle fuel in the United States. Despite this, they also warn that natural gas is mainly methane, a strong greenhouse gas. So when natural gas leaks into the atmosphere from oil and natural gas wells, storage tanks, pipelines, and processing plants, it actually can raise greenhouse gases. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency estimates that in 2021, methane emissions from natural gas and petroleum systems and from abandoned oil and natural gas wells were the source of about 33% of total U.S. methane emissions and about 4% of the total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. The oil and natural gas industry is currently taking steps to prevent natural gas leaks. However, these steps may not be enough. The U.S. Energy Information Administration estimates that in 2022, emissions from burning natural gas accounted for 35% of total related CO2 emissions. To understand all the problems from natural gas, we also have to understand the exploration, drilling, and production of natural gas and how these affect the environment. When geologists search for natural gas deposits on land, they disturb vegetation and soil with vehicles. Drilling a natural gas well on a site may require clearing and leveling the entire area around the well site. Well drilling activities produce air pollution and may disturb people, wildlife, and water resources. Laying pipelines that transport natural gas from wells usually requires the land to be cleared before the pipe can be buried. Natural gas production also leads to large volumes of contaminated water when done improperly. The water from natural gas production requires proper handling, storage, and treatment so that it does not pollute the other waters on the land. Natural gas pipelines often have engines to run equipment and compressors, which produce both air and noise pollution quite frequently. In some areas, natural gas produced at oil wells is not economically viable to transport for sale or contains high concentrations of toxic gases such as hydrogen sulfide, so it is burned at well sites. Natural gas flaring procedures produce carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and many other compounds, depending on the chemical composition of the natural gas and how well the gas burns when flaring. However, flaring is safer than releasing natural gas into the air and results in lower overall greenhouse gas emissions because CO2 is not as strong of a greenhouse gas as methane is. Drilling and production technologies have had both a positive and a negative effect on the environment. New drilling and natural gas recovery technology significantly reduces the land area that is disturbed to develop oil and natural gas resources. Horizontal drilling techniques make it possible to produce more natural gas from a single well than in the past, so producers need fewer wells to develop a natural gas field. Hydraulic fracturing of shale, sandstone, and carbonate rock formations is opening up large reserves of natural gas that were previously too expensive to develop. Fracking involves pumping liquid under high pressure into a well, which allows the natural gas to escape from the rock. This technique produces natural gas but also has some negative effects on the environment. For example, fracturing wells require large amounts of water. In some areas of the country, high water consumption for fracking may affect aquatic habitats and the availability of water for other uses. If mismanaged, hydraulic fracturing fluid, which may contain potentially hazardous chemicals, can be released through spills, leaks, faulty construction of the well, or other paths to exposure. These releases can contaminate surrounding areas. In conclusion, fracking and natural gas are relatively clean ways to produce energy. However, they may not be quite as clean as we want to believe, and there are dangers present for our environment. Just like anything else we do as humans, everything has consequences. It's just whether or not the good outweighs the bad. There are many things I did not mention in this, such as the rare explosions from pipeline malfunctions. However, while these events are tragic, they are extremely rare and should not be seen as one of the main negatives of natural gas. Natural gas may have some consequences, but it is far cleaner and far less dangerous than many other forms of energy production.